When my twin was beaten and too scared to escape, we secretly switched places, and what her husband did next destroyed him. Welcome to Betty's Magical Stories, where gentle voices, magical worlds, and peaceful tales help you relax, dream, and drift into a calm, happy sleep. The night everything changed started with a phone call I'll never forget. It was past midnight, and my phone kept vibrating on the table like it was panicking. When I finally picked it up, I heard my twin sister's voice, but it didn't sound like her. It was small, broken, and shaking. She didn't cry loudly. She whispered, like someone was listening. She said my name once and then went silent. I grabbed my keys and left without thinking, my heart pounding harder with every step down the stairs. Twins are connected in a way that's hard to explain. When one of us is in pain, the other feels it. That night, I felt everything. When I reached her apartment, she opened the door slowly. The light behind her revealed bruises she tried to hide with makeup and long sleeves, but nothing could hide the truth. Her cheek was swollen, her wrist was wrapped, and there was fear in her eyes I had never seen before. This was my sister, the girl who shared a womb with me, the one who used to stand up for everyone else, now standing in front of me, terrified. She told me everything in fragments. The shouting, the control, the apologies that always came too late, and finally the night it crossed a line she couldn't ignore anymore. Her husband had hurt her, not once, not by accident, repeatedly. I wanted to call the police right there. I wanted to scream, to break something, to confront him immediately. But she grabbed my arm and begged me not to. She was scared of what he'd do if she left, scared no one would believe her, scared of losing everything she had built. She said she just needed time to think, time to breathe, time to heal. And then she said something that shocked me even more. She asked if I would help her disappear for a few days. We are identical twins. Same height, same voice, same face, down to the smallest detail. Growing up, we used it for harmless fun, switching classes, confusing friends, pulling small pranks. But this was different. This was dangerous. She explained her plan quietly. She wanted to go somewhere safe, far away, where he couldn't find her, just long enough to gather evidence, talk to a lawyer, and decide her next move. Meanwhile, someone needed to stay behind so he wouldn't suspect anything. Someone who looked like her, someone who could watch him closely. I didn't say yes right away. My mind raced through every possible outcome, most of them bad. But then I looked at her bruises again, and I realized something simple and terrifying. If I didn't help her, no one would. So I agreed. The next morning, we switched. Clothes, phones, routines. Even the way we tied our hair. We practiced her walk, her posture, the way she spoke when she was nervous. She left quietly, carrying only a small bag and tears she refused to let fall until she was out the door. I stayed behind in her apartment, sitting on the couch, waiting for her husband to come home like nothing had changed. When he walked in, my stomach dropped. He smiled, casual and relaxed, like a man with nothing to hide. He kissed my cheek, right where the bruise would have been if she hadn't covered it. I felt sick. That was the moment I understood how easily monsters blend into normal life. Over dinner, he talked about his day, complained about work, laughed at his own jokes, and then, slowly, the mask started to slip. It began with small things. Comments about dinner not being good enough, jokes that weren't really jokes, designed to cut just steep enough. He corrected the way I sat, the way I spoke, the way I breathed. I responded differently than my sister would have. Not aggressively, but firmly. I asked questions. I challenged him calmly, and every time I did, I saw anger flash in his eyes. He didn't like it. Over the next few days, I watched him closely. I recorded conversations on my phone when I could. I saved messages. I took photos of broken objects, holes in walls, the aftermath of his temper. He didn't hit me, not yet, but the threat was always there, hanging in the air like a storm cloud. He would stand too close, lower his voice, remind me of how much I needed him. He talked about how no one else would want me, how lucky I was he stayed. Classic lines. Textbook abuse. The more confident I became, the more reckless he got. One night, after an argument over something trivial, he exploded. He punched the wall inches from my head and screamed that I was testing him. I stayed calm, even though my hands were shaking. Inside, I was terrified, but I also knew this was exactly what we needed: proof. While I played my role, my sister was safe. She was staying with a friend he didn't know about, documenting her injuries, speaking to a lawyer, and preparing a plan. Every night we talked briefly using a secure app. She told me she was starting to feel like herself again. That gave me strength. The breaking point came on the 5th night. He came home drunk, angrier than I had ever seen him. He accused me of cheating, of plotting against him, of turning into someone else. In a way, he was right. He grabbed my arm hard enough to leave marks. I didn't fight back. I didn't scream. I looked him in the eye and told him calmly that if he touched me again, everything would change. He laughed. He said no one would ever believe me. That's when I knew it was over. Not for us, but for him. The next morning, my sister came back, not alone. She returned with a lawyer, a police officer, and a folder thick with evidence. I stood beside her as she walked in, no longer afraid, no longer silent. The confusion on his face was instant and priceless. He looked from her to me, realizing too late what we had done. The evidence spoke louder than anything we could say. Recordings, photos, messages, medical reports. His denials fell apart within minutes. The man who once controlled everything suddenly had no power at all. He was arrested that same day. The Meebers watched as he was led away, shocked, whispering, finally seeing what had been hidden behind closed doors. My sister filed for a restraining order and divorce. She told her story publicly, not for revenge, but for freedom. The response was overwhelming. People believed her, people supported her, and people who had been silent for years found the courage to speak up too. As for me, I walked away knowing I had done something dangerous, but necessary. We didn't switch places to ruin a man's life for fun. We did it to save one. Abuse thrives in silence, fear, and disbelief. The moment the truth is exposed, it loses its power. Today, my sister is healing. The bruises are fading, but the strength she gained will last forever. And her husband, he's facing consequences he never thought would come. Not because of revenge, but because the truth finally caught up with him. If there's one thing this story proves, it's that monsters rely on shadows, and sometimes it takes courage, planning, and the unbreakable bond between two sisters to turn the lights on. Thank you for listening to Betty's Magical Stories. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let the magic carry you into sweet dreams. Good night.